Hi, my name is Anirudh Ramesh, and today I'm going to be presenting about Uber. So first, I'd like to give a quick overview about the company. Uber is a vehicle for hire service that initially started off in the Bay Area as a black cab service, so it was really exclusive. But now, as we can see, they've transitioned into serving a large variety of consumers. They are a worldwide online transportation network company. Uber serves in many countries around the world, and it has made things a lot easier. They have a revenue of about 1.5 billion US dollars, and it develops, markets, and operates the cross-platform Uber app. So what this means is that anybody ordering an Uber no longer needs to use a cell phone to call somebody and then wait for a cab. All of these were issues with the transportation system until Uber came in. And because of this, we can see that they were extremely successful in disrupting the transportation industry. One of the major reasons for this is because cab services are only allowed to operate for their drivers up to 12 hours a day. So after this 12-hour time limit, these cab drivers are no longer allowed to drive for money. However, with Uber, there's no strict time limit for how long they're allowed to work. Employees can start whenever they want and end whenever they want, which makes it extremely flexible and provides a much better alternative to individuals who would like to use their cars as a taxi sort of service. Uber might potentially disrupt other industries through horizontal integration, which is something we talked about at length. So the major key to Uber's success is definitely the marketing on the side of the company. Uber was successful in solving the chicken egg problem. They gained traction through word of mouth. This is really amazing because the user base for Uber was completely spread just by people communicating with their peers and then peers sharing with other peers the positive experience they had with the company. And as this started happening, more and more people latched onto Uber, and this led to the company's sudden growth. They had a really strategic initial location, which is San Francisco. This is something I'd like to talk about because San Francisco, just like New York and Chicago, is a major city, and with major cities come a lot of traffic. And one of the biggest problems with this is hailing down cabs, where you would have to go out into the street, hail down the cab, and there's a high percentage cab drivers might drive by you. The payment systems in cabs is often inaccurate as drivers might take slightly elongated routes to get to the final destination. And not even just that, because of the high amount of technology and tech companies that are present in the Bay Area, in SF, this meant that Uber was able to target people who they knew would spend a lot of times on their cell phone, and they knew these people were very infatuated with technology and were looking for successful alternatives to the cab service. They were extremely successful in engaging the Silicon Valley community to adopt technology. San Francisco is not exactly in the Silicon Valley, but it's extremely close. And because of this closeness, they were able to spread just from the North Bay down to the South Bay, East Bay, and West Bay. And because of the high degree of technology usage and how much it's been integrated into the lives of individuals here, this meant that Uber was definitely able to get these people to use it. Uber scaled up their operations after this by using similar tactics in multiple cities. They ended up spreading throughout bigger cities first, and in these bigger cities, they used people and the word of mouth to get people to contribute and join the service. Uber is a public relations expert. This meant that Uber is very well versed with controlling its image in the public, and in fact, public relations helps Uber drive its business. Some of the initial issues that people saw when Uber was first coming out was how they were going to vet their cab drivers. And then if these cab drivers crashed into people, how was that going to impact Uber and how was it going to impact the general people? And Uber has been very upfront with their whole marketing plan. They've scaled it and they've made it extremely public and they've let people know exactly how they are. And they even offer benefits to people for sharing about the information. They've implemented several services, including ride sharing, which has done very well for their PR as it allows multiple users to each use the app and rideshare. This means that for a $30 cab ride, if you split it with two of your friends, you're effectively able to pay $10 each, which is extremely great. Uber has been successful in creating hype via the introduction of self-driven cars to the market. Self-driven cars a few years ago were something that was still very, very new and was still being developed, and only a few companies, namely Google and Tesla, were actively working on this system. Uber has now been able to create self-driving vehicles, and they've started using them for rides. One of the issues that was recently found was that an Uber self-driving car actually ran a red light. And Uber was very upfront and forthcoming with this with the public, which definitely helped with their public relations. And public litigation issues have successfully been used as a driver for growth by spinning a pro-consumer story. What this means is normally with cabs and other services, it's for the driver. Like the driver will go where they want. They won't drive too far if it's not worth it to them. However, Uber, everything has been in the hands of the consumer. The consumer is able to order a ride whenever they want. If they order the ride and cancel it, this can be done without calling anybody. Everything is done through the app. What this means is it puts the service in the hands of the consumers where they're allowed to see how many cabs are around them, which ones they want to take. And what this means is by putting the decision in the hands of the customers, you end up with more happy consumers. Uber's marketing plan has benefits such as free rides to increase the consumer base. What this means is that they have free first rides for users where they can enter a code and get a free ride for up to $20. This not only allows users to test the service at no cost to themselves, but the strategy definitely allows them to see what a great product they're being served with. And what this means is that promotions would keep the customer base and spread the word in their town, as this is one of the major drivers of Uber's success. These users will go speak to their friends, their family, and with that, you can give them your Uber code, as it says, and then by giving your friends your code, you actually get free rides back. Sponsorships and events to increase Uber's presence at major ride-sharing locations, such as airports and nightclubs, are also part of the Uber plan. Nobody likes drunk driving as it's extremely dangerous, and hailing down cabs and getting cabs at airports, clubs, anywhere was something that was extremely hard. But by going and promoting their service and marketing it at such locations, people are able to get off a flight, grab their bags, get on the Uber app, and boom, a car shows up. This provides several advantages as compared to the taxi service. Uber plans to accept cash in developing economies and started the trend with India where cash use is still predominant. This is extremely huge because one of the issues we see with a lot of MNCs, multinational corporations, as they try to expand to other countries, is they do not have enough information about the culture in these countries, and they don't know how to successfully market in these countries. Uber currently in America and a lot of countries does everything through the app. You add your credit card through the app, you get to see how much fees you're paying through the app. All of this is done through the app, which means after you enter your credit card information once, you no longer need to enter it again. There is no other communication based on the fees between you and the rider. However, in countries where cash really isn't being used or cards aren't being used and it's like a cash-driven economy, such as India and Japan, Uber would not benefit as much in these countries by going in if they did not accept cash as a valid payment. By accepting cash as a valid payment, they are not only appealing to the users in the country, they will effectively generate more revenue as more users will ride with Uber because they are able to pay with cash. And compared to auto rickshaws and other forms of convenient taxi transportation, with the Uber vehicle, they can be inside of a car. And being inside of a car, they can still pay with cash. So this is definitely a successful tactic on part of Uber. Uber's overall strategy is that Uber primarily develops technology in San Francisco and the Silicon Valley, and as I said earlier, global expansion is driven by offices all over the world, which primarily focus on growth via marketing, as technology in today's day and age is easily deployable. Uber realizes the main challenge lies in acquiring and keeping users and their main operations revolve around this point. By putting the company in the hands of the users and focusing on a user-based experience and challenging users to go and speak and communicate with their peers and spreading the service, as well as this being in the Silicon Valley where technology is so huge and is a so completely well integrated with the people. Uber is definitely employing a good strategy here. What's next? Uber has a futuristic vision. Uber has already introduced self-driven cars to the market and will plan to completely phase out drivers. This will exponentially reduce labor costs for the company. Uber will use the power of their current user base and technology to rapidly move into other verticals, essentially anything that has to be moved from point A to point B. By continuing to innovate and tending towards the future, as Uber's been using these self-driving cars, they're literally showing everyone that they're completely trying to deploy longevity in the company. And by doing this, by introducing self-driven cars and phasing out the drivers, this will allow for a much more seamless and smooth service, as the cars will be operating completely on their own. As I mentioned earlier, there has been one issue so far where the car ran the red light, and Uber has completely accepted responsibility and are working extremely hard to figure out why this happened. All these points go towards showing that Uber is a company which needs to be closely watched, as their valuation is expected to rise in the future as they test new waters and adopt new technology. By continuing to adopt new technology and keeping themselves current, they continue to show users that they definitely are not only a viable option, but the only option for transportation. If Uber's strategy of being the first company to implement the self-driven concept works out, they might be able to scale operations to an unprecedented level. And if we look at the map, it might create one of the biggest companies the planet has seen. Thank you for listening to our presentation.